welcome to FadeIn, Carnegie Screenwriters' look at the film industry in Pittsburgh. I'm your host, Carrie Collins. Today we have with us Stevo Parys.
That's right.
Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
Let's start with something really important. The nickname Stevo, where did that come from? Is that your given name?
No, my given name is, well, I won't say my given name because only a few people know it. And I
know
don't
it.
like it. No,
Should
you don't.
I do know it.
No,
I
you don't.
do know
you do
it.
Not.
I do.
What is it?
Should I say it?
Go ahead.
So Steve, you're a director, you're a first AD, you're
Yes.
a writer, you're a producer, but correct me if I'm wrong, you did not start in the film industry in your professional career.
Oh boy.
Is that right?
No, I didn't. I wanted to very badly, but my parents wouldn't let me for good reasons. I don't blame them at all. They just thought there was no future in it because back then the only person shooting here was George Romero.
Right.
Shooting various zombie movies and his various horror movies, and there really wasn't much of an industry, so they thought it would be really silly for me to try. So I became a civil engineer, which lasted 2 years.
Wow. Sitting behind a desk, drafting.
Yeah, and sometimes going to sewage treatment plants. That was the big outing.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
it was
don't know
great.
why you didn't
It was
stick with
wonderful.
that, sewage treatment plants.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I hated it. I couldn't stand it. And the guy, when I quit, he was very nice, and he told me that I was making a big mistake, but he was very nice about it. So I quit, and then I went back to school to be a high school teacher, because I thought maybe that would straddle interests. So I was a high school teacher for 3 years.
Where was that? Here in Pittsburgh?
No, actually, well, it started in Maryland. There wasn't a lot of work up here, so I started in Maryland for a year, and then the 4 newest teachers got cut at the end of that year because enrollment dropped. So I came back to Pittsburgh and I was a student teacher, and then over a summer, Silence of the Lambs was gearing up because there was union trouble up in New York, so a lot of features were flooding to Pittsburgh, which at that point was non-union.
And it was one of the first to shoot here, am I right?
It was, I mean, other than George, it was it was like the burgeoning of the, look that up, of the industry.
I know that word.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And it was kind of when things really started exploding because stuff was just flooding down from New York.
Huh.
So yeah, I worked on Silence of the Lambs for 9 months.
Did you just walk onto the set and ask for a job? How did it happen back then?
I had a buddy that was in the art office that just a friend from when I was a kid that had gotten in with George for I think 1 film before that.
Okay.
And he said, do you want a job moving office furniture into the office? And I said, yeah.
Sure.
And just from there, I did everything I could. I jumped from one job to another to another. I had about 8 or 9 jobs, but I strung it together. Did some set PAing and just anything I could possibly do to be on the set and learn. So it was great.
Yeah. And did you fall in love with it? Did you think I should have done this,
Yeah.
what, 5 years ago
Oh,
or
yeah.
whenever it was?
Yeah, it was, yeah. I loved everything about it. I learned as much as I could. I observed everything I could. It was a really great start. And I had loved the book before that, so it was like amazing for me to be on the set as they were making
that
it.
particular
Yeah,
film.
it was really cool. It was great.
So how did you work your way up then? Because now you're extremely high level.
Yeah, kind of. I was doing 2 jobs at once, basically. I did locations on a lot of films, which is scouting and finding locations based on the script, and then working with the owners and the film company to arrange, holding areas, the parking, the police,
Those
where
are things
lights
people don't
go.
think about. Is there a bathroom nearby?
Yeah,
that you're
and where to park the trucks, and then you do a tech scout, and suddenly it's like I want a light on the top of that building, and I need those that house completely lit up, and I want to put a light here, and then we're going to have a barge go up the river with lights on it, and you have to arrange all of that. So I did that, and I liked it to a degree, but it was just mainly to fill my wallet while I was being a set PA, which is a set production assistant, which is a direct line up to what I do now. So I set PA'd
Is it still a direct line?
Oh, yeah. You have to, I mean, union or non-union, you have to put in your set PA days before you can assistant direct, before you can AD.
And had it started to be union at that point? So
It did.
When did the tide turn?
It switched I think it was, I can't be exact. I think it was like mid-90s we became a union town, but union does not in any way affect a set PA. You're still the lowest paid, longest
You don't have to be
working.
in the union for that.
Nope. Yeah, there is no set PA union. Once you get enough days under your belt, then you can join the Directors Guild of America and become an assistant director.
Right. So a lot of people might think assistant director is a step to director, but they're 2 totally different jobs, are they not?
Yeah, they're absolutely different. I mean, sometimes there's a lot of steps to being a director. There's probably like 5 different paths job-wise to being a director, and that's one of them, but not the most direct necessarily.
Okay.
But
tell us what you do as an AD. What is
oh
your
boy.
day like?
As an AD, it starts with me getting the script and breaking it down and scheduling it so that it's the most efficient use of time and money, and within various things that restrict when you can shoot things, when you can get a location, when you can get an actor, and you try and group actors' schedules so you're not paying them for whole days, which are days they make money when they're not working. So you just try and make it as efficient as possible.
Okay.
And then in pre-production, you lead all the crews. You're in charge of pre-production in a sense.
Okay.
You have to give all the details to the various departments, make
Right.
sure that they're up to speed at the times that you want them to be up to speed. Have show and tells for the directors, make sure casting is happening efficiently, all the way up to just before shooting, you have a tech scout where you get all the department heads in vans and you go and you kind of pre-plan everything and where the trucks are going to go and how much cable we need and where the lights are going to be and all that kind of stuff. And then once we start shooting, I'm basically there to run the crew, keep the foot on the gas, keep people organized and informed, and free the director to just work with the actors and the cinematographer and basically run the set from A to Z.
I've heard the AD described as directing the crew while the director directs the actors. Would
Yeah.
you say that's
Absolutely.
accurate?
Yeah, you know, you have to keep them informed and you keep your foot on the gas, and after you get some years under your belt, it depends on the director. Some directors do not want the AD to make directing suggestions. And I don't mean like, I think this shot is cooler than the shot you're lining up, but like ways to save time, just little tricks you pick up that, you know, the order of shots, and sometimes it's hard to describe without being very specific, but, you know, for example, you can fake a reverse in a night shot where it takes, you know, an hour and a half to light looking that way when you're already looking that way. If you shake up the camera just a little bit, tweak the lights, it takes 10 minutes, and you slap the actor in there for a close-up, and it looks like you're shooting that way. Just little stuff like that. So once you get to know the directors, or once they trust you, you can make suggestions that also speed things up.
While you're on set or before?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm always, it's just like, people usually on set, as they should, they're focused on what's going on right then. I have to focus on that, and what's next, and what's after that, and are we behind, and what's the next day, and if we go too late, the actor's turnaround is going to push the next day, and then we won't have enough daylight. So it's constantly looking at the bigger picture as well as the small picture.
But you also are a director in your own right.
Yep.
You have directed many things, shorts, features.
Shorts, features.
Miniseries. Tell me about the miniseries,
That
because
was cool.
that was early on in the MTV days when it was just, mostly music videos.
It was pretty much all, yeah, they were trying to get into original programming, and a buddy of mine, Terrence McCluskey, had written 40, it was really kind of a unique thing. It was called I Remember Chloe, or alternately, it was called just Chloe. And it was a mini series of, God, it was kind of webisodes before there were webisodes.
Interesting, but it wasn't on the web, it was on broadcast TV. It was
yeah,
on
it was
MTV
going
network.
to be. It started out as 42 segments, each with their own little plot that told an overall plot that was kind of a, not a Twilight Zone thing, but it was kind of a surprise. And Terrence wrote them and brought me on board because I had film experience, and I directed the visuals, and he worked with the actors, so we co-directed.
Okay.
And the visuals are interesting because each episode, whether it be 1 minute or 5 minutes, was designed to start in the middle of the action, leave in the middle of the action, and as much as possible be one shot. So it was, yeah, it was neat.
That's really ahead of its time as well.
It was. The whole thing was really great, and it came to such an ignominious end. It was, we shot, it was really cool because I organized a group of Pittsburgh filmmakers, and MTV gave to us what was a ridiculous sum. I think it was $250,000, actually.
Wow. For all 42 episodes?
We trimmed it down a little. I think it was 31, something like that at the end, and we shot for quite a while. We needed to save some for post-production. They were, you know, buying music rights and things like that. But we shot them with an amazing cast, and they turned out wonderfully. And MTV liked it so much they even thought, you know, if we string these together, like really end to end, they're, rather than airing them as they were going to be, it's a feature. It's a feature film. It's got a weird rhythm because it's, you know, one shot and then another one shot with no coverage. But they were really into it. And then something launched on an alternate website that they felt was too close to it. And back then was massively popular, and I can't even remember it. Nobody knows of it now.
Yeah.
It was kind of, and it wasn't very similar. It was just
Yeah.
on the surface.
Somebody, one
It was
of
similar.
the suits thought it was.
Yeah, and exactly. They just beat us to the air, and yeah, one of the MTV suits, after spending all that money and also building a website for it, which was kind of new then, with all sorts of links that was new then to music and arranging music rights. A lot of effort. They just pulled the plug on the whole thing.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Let's let it see the light of day. Here's a clip from I Remember Chloe. So let's talk about what I think is really your best directorial work, and that is, of course, the short film Lightheaded. Let's see a clip from Lightheaded.
Jesus, I am so sorry. I didn't even see you. This place is so dark.
I was distracted.
Well,
No, it was
Well, at least you
God.
got away at the right time. You got great reflexes.
That man pulled me out of the way. Seriously, did you not see him? He was like all lit up.
Look, are you all right?
Yeah.
It's possible you're in shock.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Oh my God, it's you!
No, just his messenger. That never gets old.
That's right, I forgot that's the one I was in. Ah, how
And
could I have
wrote.
forgotten that? I did, I wrote it as well
And
produced
produced
it.
it.
I guess in full disclosure, I should tell you that Steve and I have worked together before.
Yes.
If you hadn't been able to tell.
Yes.
So, all right, let's talk about Lightheaded, because you and
Cool.
I had worked together before.
Yeah, you brought it
I
up
had-
when we were working together.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We were on set,
Mm-hmm.
and I mentioned that I had written this. I had a great producer, Jim Helfrich, who is also a member of the Carnegie Screenwriters, who really wanted to make this, which I thought was kind of crazy. And then you read it, and you said, sure.
I loved it.
Which
And I had read a lot of the other contestants for the prize that it was up for, and thought it was better than a lot of them.
Well.
No, I did. I really, really liked it. I thought it was a great story. I thought it was a great short. I think shorts are really hard to write. People
They are. That's
don't
right.
think they are. They kind
don't.
of think, well, it's short, it's easy,
How
it'll
hard
be,
can it be?
you know, 1/10 the work of a feature, but shorts have to have their own little arcs and stories, and you got to compress everything. And I thought it was extremely well written.
Well,
And yeah, so
it's shameless. It's just completely
no, it's
shameless.
true. It's very, very true. I thought it was very, very well written. And the thing that a lot of people, smart people, get from it is that it's not only like you could pigeonhole it as a romantic comedy, and that would work. But what a lot of people have responded to, I think, about it is that it's a really honest woman's story because it came from a woman. And that's not to say that men can't write.
No, clearly there are
honest-
many men who can write a woman's perspective well.
Yes.
However,
I think it's a very specific talent, though. I don't think a lot of people
There
have
are
it.
very, very few.
Very
Yeah,
few.
Very few.
Yeah.
But I think that obviously you write what you know, as they say.
True.
So,
Yeah. No. So I thought it had a really, strong woman's point of view, and we had talked in pre-production, I liked the fact that, you know, even though, yes, it's intimated at the end that she might end up with a man, but it's not really that. It's more about at the end she's finding happiness. But I like the point throughout the whole thing was that it wasn't set up that she like needed a man, and if she didn't meet somebody, her life was just crap. It was more about her finding herself and allowing herself to come back to life, which I thought was really cool.
Let's talk about some of the things that you've written.
Oh God, I've written a few features that have gone nowhere.
So far?
So far. I did.
The rights are available.
I wrote one that I shot. It was my first short I shot in '99. I wrote a feature film, and it got really close to actually going. I got optioned by a company in Los Angeles, and they gave me some seed money to develop it, and we were on a path to actually make the thing. And of course, since I was back then, I don't think I directed anything but that short. There was talk of like, we might have to not let you direct it and bring somebody in. And we went back and forth, and it just turned into a ridiculous thing because it was a zombie film.
That's a surprise here in Pittsburgh.
That's why I did it, really, because I thought it was like an homage, but I tried to do some fresh stuff with it.
And you had worked with George, you said, so obviously that was...
Yeah, so he was an amazing guy, a good filmmaker, and just even better person. He's just a wonderful guy.
Nice to hear.
But so then the two producers, one wanted it to be much more violent and really embrace it and go with it and make it gritty. And the other one said, no, it's got to be marketable, so we want to gut it of the violence. So
and you were caught in between.
Caught in between, wrote two versions, rewrote it to kind of sanitize the violence and make it more action-y, and one that just embraced it. Yeah, and then the two of them got in a power struggle, and the whole thing just collapsed. So,
but you made it into a short. Is that the same thing? And what was that called?
It was called Reign of the Dead.
Reign of the Dead.
And it's
we
funny.
We have a clip of Reign of the Dead also.
We do.
We do. Let's see it.
Once it started, everything went down like a house of cards.
Jarhead undead.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's fine.
Funny.
I thought it was funny because it is very dated, as you may have just seen. But we had so much fun making it that in itself was a huge reward. It was myself, a bunch of professional film people.
But who were friends of yours? Did you get together friends to make this?
Oh God, yeah, get together friends. But they were professionals that made a lot of money on their day jobs. Got the camera for free, got the equipment truck for free, and since I was doing locations, I knew how to get us into some really cool locations that would have cost. I think we did a day in Dixmont Mental Hospital, which is now razed to the ground. We paid $40, I think, for the security guard, and 3 weeks later, I got a commercial in there, and they had to pay $10,000 a day to use the place.
Wow!
So,
clearly, they learned something.
Yeah, it was just great. You know, we had a lot of fun, and if you watch it, it is. Even though it's very dated, it's definitely has a lot of things that are hugely popular now.
Right, still holds up for zombie films.
15 years before they were hugely popular.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was fun.
Yeah, that is fun. So you've also gone around the world to work, correct?
Yeah, I've for a while I started doing all sorts of independent films, assistant directing, and I direct the second unit of some of them, which is anything from pickup shots of hands to trains to the actors in various places where you didn't want to take the whole crew. So I did that for a long, long time, did independent films and traveled all across the United States, New York, Florida, Idaho, LA. Yeah, of course. Did not like LA. And just everywhere, and then actually also did an independent film in Vienna, which was great. Really. It had Pittsburgh roots. The writers were, and the director was from Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
And just took myself and two other locals over there, and it was neat because we had to integrate with how they make films over there.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it was really fun.
And yet, for the bulk of your work, you have stayed here in Pittsburgh. You have made a life working in the film industry in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since I started 28 years ago, I never had to do that thing where you work in film and then also take another job, which I respect. A lot of people have to do that when they get started. Totally get it. But I was lucky enough, never had to do that. Make a really good living here, cost of living is a fraction of LA.
Sure, or New York,
and,
or
New York,
Chicago.
and there's tons of work here.
Sure.
And by choice, after I started traveling a lot and was married and didn't like being away. One year, I think I was away 8.5 months.
Ooh,
and,
that's hard.
Yeah, it's really tough. And I just kind of decided that I would almost exclusively work in Pittsburgh. Sometimes I travel, but not that far anymore.
Yeah.
And make sure they're short gigs. So I turned down a lot of out-of-state gigs because I want to stay here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you said to your parents, see, I could do it?
Yeah, they...
I guess the adult version of I told you so, or no?
Yeah, I mean, they're dead now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, it's fine.
You're gonna have to cut that out.
No, keep that. But yeah, many years ago, they got to live long enough to see myself get a start in the career and see that it actually was something that could be a career.
You were good at.
Yeah,
that's
you
great.
know, and so it was neat. They got to see that something that I was really passionate about, I was actually starting to do, and so it was great. It was very cool.
That's fantastic.
You know they're going to make me out to be a big shot, and I'm no big shot. I'm a dems and those guys, and that's the truth. No, I'll be there in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to say hi to a few folks here first.
Hang on to your hat.
How are you?
Steelers out of the huddle. Terry Bradshaw at the control.
There's only one thing you need to know about Rooney. He's dumb, and he's cheap. I resent that. I am not cheap. Chapter 1 of that book is going to have to be about the church. Because the church is what kept us steady in bad times and good. Gave us hope when we didn't have much else. Scouting coordinators, draft experts. We got more assistant coaches now than players when I was in the game. We're losing something in the process. One day it's all going to be gone. Mark my words, Danny, you're going to regret this day. But then all of a sudden, one morning, you wake up and you're sitting right across the breakfast table from an old woman. And you recognize she is your wife. And she is more beautiful, more radiant, more wise than ever. That's me, the chief. You know, nobody ever calls me that to my face. Why is that? A horse player, a bootlegger. I got lucky, I stuck with it until I finally got the ring. Boom! 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 I'll tell you, the noise hit me like a tornado. I thought it was a tornado. I thought the stadium was falling down. I tried to walk down the ramp toward the field, and the people are running past me like crazy, screaming and hollering, and big grins on their faces, and that's when it hit me. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, we won this game. Oh, my Lord, we won this game! Oh, and I never saw a single second of it. Now the skies over Pittsburgh are bright, and their outlook is black, and we are their champions. And when Lambert takes his teeth out on a Sunday and crashes into somebody like a locomotive, the fans are the steam in that engine. It is their passion. No wonder they love us so much. We remind them that winning is always possible. By golly, sometimes you do catch it. And you got to be ready for that one, too.
Tell me what you're working on now, Steve, and what's down the road for you.
Right up next is, I've got a couple more commercials, and then I start on season 2 of Outsiders.
Not
the Outsiders, which
Outsiders.
everybody does and
Yeah.
makes them think of Pony Boy and all that.
Oh,
So I
right,
start
right.
on Outsiders, WGN series. It's the first series in Pittsburgh history to come back for a second season.
Fantastic.
Which is great.
It is great, yeah.
I'll be doing that for about 6 months. And then after that, back to commercials, hopefully third season of Outsiders. There's a Netflix series, and who knows?
Right, who knows?
And
Right. Features continue to come in.
Features continue to come in, and my next directing gig, I'm trying to figure out which script I want to put more of my hard-earned money into making with you.
Aw. Well, you know, we didn't mention that as well. You and I did collaborate on another project that you
Yes, we
wrote,
did. Yeah.
Breakage.
Yes.
I would like to show everyone a clip from Breakage as well.
How often do you meet someone these days who just, I don't know, sweeps you off your feet?
I'm Frank Brown.
I'm Allie Kent. I'm Allie Kent.
Nice to meet you, Allie Kent.
Nice to meet you.
I mean, it's 2015. It's so hard to meet a nice guy who's also single, right? I mean, nice seems to have gone out of style.
Can I have a chance to be angry? When it's my turn to get f***ing angry?
That was an awesome clip.
What a
Isn't
great
that great?
show.
What an
Oh, my
amazing
goodness.
short.
That
Wow.
Really, it was well written. It was beautifully directed. I think the producing is really what shines
I think it
in
really
that.
is what set it
I
apart from
really
all the rest. Yeah,
think it was.
and the extra at the end, which was somebody that, yeah, we cut her line.
Yeah.
But she was an amazing
Story
person.
of my life.
Pushing a dolly.
Yeah.
It was
yes,
great.
Thanks very much. That really was the best part. Tressa emoted all over that place.
Yeah, but you
really
stole the show. I mean, when she was breaking down and you pushed that cart through, wow.
Spoiler alert
Phew.
for
Yeah,
anyone who
sorry.
has not seen the whole
Oops.
film. Oh my goodness. That film has been in several film festivals. It won Best Drama in the Washington PA Film Fest.
Yep.
Are you still submitting to festivals with that?
I'm just letting it, there's still a few that have yet to make
out
decisions that are out there, but it's been a year and God, it's been in a lot of festivals.
And it has.
Nominated for stuff, won the
Right.
Best Drama and all that, but
It's great. It's because it's so beautifully produced.
it is, I think.
That's the
It's
reason,
really,
I'm pretty
truly.
sure.
It should have been awarded Best Producer.
If
think.
only. I'm going to lobby the Academy for that.
think.
I think, oh wait, they might have that. Not for shorts. Anyway, one last thing. Where do you see the future of film in Pittsburgh?
I think it's strong right now. There's a lot of kids getting involved in it, so there's a continuity as us older folks will hopefully retire one of these days. It's really strong. People love coming here. We have a really strong tax credit, which right now is the thing that guides the business entirely.
So if that goes away tomorrow,
If that goes away tomorrow, we're looking at a tough haul until it goes away everywhere.
Yeah.
It's really what drives the industry now. It's a shame in a weird way. It's great because we get it,
Right.
and I never understand the arguments against it because it brings money into town, it creates jobs.
Right.
I don't know why you'd even consider eliminating a program that actually is in the black and returns money.
right?
Why?
It does create jobs. I think
Oh my
that
God.
people think that it is going to line Hollywood pockets,
No.
when in fact it's paying painters and carpenters
Absolutely.
and people like you who work here, PAs
Absolutely.
and writers and everybody who
And
works here in town.
The money goes into the hotels and paint and nails and
Restaurants.
locations and restaurants, and it's good for tourism.
Yeah.
It's huge, and it brings all the business into Pittsburgh. It leaves so much money in Pittsburgh, creates jobs for thousands of people. And if it goes away, yeah, the industry will suffer. I mean, Pittsburgh will probably survive in a much lesser fashion because we do have great locations, a good crew base, and all sorts of other things that used to bring the business here.
Right, and a solid
But,
industry in commercials and
yes,
industrials and,
yeah.
and those day-to-day projects.
But really, I mean, the hope is that we continue to have the film tax credit because it's so important to thousands of people that I know really well and
Yeah.
like a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thanks, Steve.
thank you, Carrie.
Welcome. That's it for this episode of Fade In. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Caroline Collins, your host, and we'll see you again next time with another fascinating guest.
Do we have to sit here while the credits roll? Okay, cool. Should we talk then?
Let's talk. Yeah.